Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where fate brought you to a stranger and your life was changed forever? Today's story is about a chance meeting that was anything but ordinary. Meet Emma Brooks, a struggling waitress in New York City, just trying to make ends meet. Emma's days were spent working double shifts at the diner, trying to pay her bills, and dreaming of one day owning an art studio of her own. But that was just a dream for now. Emma had always lived a simple life, one where she worked hard for what little she had, but she never imagined that her life would take such a dramatic turn. It all started on one fateful evening, when she found herself at a fancy restaurant for a blind date set up by her best friend, Jenny. As Emma entered the restaurant, her heart raced. The place was gorgeous, with soft golden lighting and the sound of clinking silverware in the background. She stood still for a moment, feeling out of place in her second-hand dress and scuffed shoes. She glanced around, her eyes nervously searching for the man she was supposed to meet. Her phone buzzed, and she quickly checked it. Table 7, the message read. She muttered to herself, Table 7, Table 7. Emma's hands were shaking as she walked toward the table, her mind racing with thoughts of whether or not she was even dressed well enough for this place. But she had promised Jenny she would go through with it. As she reached the table, her eyes landed on a man sitting alone, engrossed in his phone. He looked sharp in a well-tailored suit, his dark hair neatly styled. She took a deep breath and walked up to him, forcing a smile. "Hi, you must be Kevin." "I'm Emma," she said, her voice trembling slightly. The man looked up, startled. He blinked at her for a moment, clearly confused, before he finally spoke. Hi, Emma." For a second, there was an awkward silence between them. Emma misread his confusion as shyness and quickly slid into the seat across from him. "Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet. So don't worry, I can talk enough for both of us." She laughed nervously, her hands fidgeting in her lap. He opened his mouth to correct her, but paused. Something about her earnest smile made him hesitate. Instead of immediately pointing out her mistake, he decided to play along. "Right, blind dates are something else," he said with a faint smile, leaning back in his chair. Emma relaxed a little. It wasn't so bad after all. They started talking. She told him about her struggles at the diner, how she dreamed of one day opening an art studio, and how her life felt stuck in a never-ending cycle of work and bills. She laughed nervously as she spoke, but he seemed to listen attentively, and there was something about him that made her feel heard. He didn't interrupt her or make her feel like she was just another person to ignore. She was about to ask him about his job when her phone buzzed again. "Hey, Emma, where are you?" "I'm at Table 7, looking forward to meeting you. Kevin." Emma's stomach dropped as she reread the message. She looked up at the man sitting across from her, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she whispered, barely able to get the words out. He blinked and then smiled awkwardly. "No, I'm not Kevin." Her heart sank, and she stood up quickly, her face a deep shade of red. "I'm so sorry," she muttered, grabbing her coat in a panic. "This is so embarrassing. I thought you were someone else." She turned to leave, but the man stood up as well, stepping toward her. "It's okay," he said, his voice calm. "Really, it's no big deal." But Emma was already rushing out of the restaurant, her face burning. She couldn't believe she had made such a mistake. But what she didn't realize was that this brief encounter, this embarrassing mix-up, would change her life in ways she couldn't yet imagine. The next day, as Emma was heading home after a long shift at the diner, she tried to shake off the embarrassment of the night before. But then her phone buzzed again. She checked it and saw a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Emma, this is Liam. I was the guy you sat with last night at the restaurant. I know it was a mix-up, but I'd like to see you again. Maybe coffee." The message was simple, but something about it made her heart skip a beat. She stared at the message for a moment, unsure what to do. She was still embarrassed, but part of her couldn't help but feel intrigued. Maybe this wasn't over after all. She hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Okay, coffee sounds nice." And just like that, Emma's life began to take a turn. Little did she know that the man she had thought was just another stranger would soon turn out to be far more than that. As they met for coffee the next day, she learned that he wasn't just a tech guy, like he'd said during their brief meeting. Liam Parker was, in fact, a millionaire CEO of a successful tech company. But to Emma, he was just a man who had listened to her dreams and made her feel like she mattered. What started as a simple, mistaken identity turned into something much more. And though Emma didn't know it yet, this was only the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where love, trust, and unexpected connections would take center stage. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where fate brought you to a stranger and your life was changed forever? Today's story is about a chance meeting that was anything but ordinary. Meet Emma Brooks, a struggling waitress in New York City, just trying to make ends meet. Emma's days were spent working double shifts at the diner, trying to pay her bills, and dreaming of one day owning an art studio of her own. But that was just a dream for now. Emma had always lived a simple life, one where she worked hard for what little she had, but she never imagined that her life would take such a dramatic turn. It all started on one fateful evening, when she found herself at a fancy restaurant for a blind date set up by her best friend, Jenny. As Emma entered the restaurant, her heart raced. The place was gorgeous, with soft golden lighting and the sound of clinking silverware in the background. She stood still for a moment, feeling out of place in her second-hand dress and scuffed shoes. She glanced around, her eyes nervously searching for the man she was supposed to meet. Her phone buzzed, and she quickly checked it. Table 7, the message read. She muttered to herself, Table 7, Table 7. Emma's hands were shaking as she walked toward the table, her mind racing with thoughts of whether or not she was even dressed well enough for this place. But she had promised Jenny she would go through with it. As she reached the table, her eyes landed on a man sitting alone, engrossed in his phone. He looked sharp in a well-tailored suit, his dark hair neatly styled. She took a deep breath and walked up to him, forcing a smile. Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma, she said, her voice trembling slightly. The man looked up, startled. He blinked at her for a moment, clearly confused, before he finally spoke. Hi, Emma. For a second, there was an awkward silence between them. Emma misread his confusion as shyness and quickly slid into the seat across from him. Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet. So don't worry, I can talk enough for both of us. She laughed nervously, her hands fidgeting in her lap. He opened his mouth to correct her, but paused. Something about her earnest smile made him hesitate. Instead of immediately pointing out her mistake, he decided to play along. Right? Blind dates are something else, he said with a faint smile, leaning back in his chair. Emma relaxed a little. It wasn't so bad after all. They started talking. She told him about her struggles at the diner, how she dreamed of one day opening an art studio, and how her life felt stuck in a never-ending cycle of work and bills. She laughed nervously as she spoke, but he seemed to listen attentively, and there was something about him that made her feel heard. He didn't interrupt her or make her feel like she was just another person to ignore. She was about to ask him about his job when her phone buzzed again. Hey, Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you. Kevin. Emma's stomach dropped as she reread the message. She looked up at the man sitting across from her, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. You're not Kevin, are you? She whispered, barely able to get the words out. He blinked and then smiled awkwardly. No, I'm not Kevin. Her heart sank, and she stood up quickly, her face a deep shade of red. I'm so sorry, she muttered, grabbing her coat in a panic. This is so embarrassing. I thought you were someone else. She turned to leave, but the man stood up as well, stepping toward her. It's okay, he said, his voice calm. Really, it's no big deal. But Emma was already rushing out of the restaurant, her face burning. She couldn't believe she had made such a mistake. But what she didn't realize was that this brief encounter, this embarrassing mix-up, would change her life in ways she couldn't yet imagine. The next day, as Emma was heading home after a long shift at the diner, She tried to shake off the embarrassment of the night before. But then her phone buzzed again. She checked it and saw a message from an unknown number. "Hi Emma, this is Liam. I was the guy you sat with last night at the restaurant. I know it was a mix-up, but I'd like to see you again. Maybe coffee." The message was simple, but something about it made her heart skip a beat. She stared at the message for a moment, unsure what to do. She was still embarrassed, but part of her couldn't help but feel intrigued. Maybe this wasn't over after all. She hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Okay, coffee sounds nice." And just like that, Emma's life began to take a turn. Little did she know that the man she had thought was just another stranger would soon turn out to be far more than that. The next morning, Emma was surprised to see the message from Liam. After the awkward mix-up at the restaurant the night before, she hadn't expected to hear from him again. But there it was, his message, simple yet enough to make her heart skip a beat. "Hi Emma, this is Liam. I was the guy you sat with last night at the restaurant. I know it was a mix-up, but I'd like to see you again. Maybe coffee." She stared at her phone for a moment, unsure of what to do. The embarrassment of the night still lingered, but something in his message made her feel a little less self-conscious, as if there was more to him than just the mix-up. She hesitated, running her fingers over the screen. She had no reason to expect anything more than a casual coffee, but a small part of her couldn't deny the curiosity growing inside her. She had been so caught up in her own struggles and dreams, she had almost forgotten what it felt like to just have a simple connection with someone. With a deep breath, she replied, "Okay, coffee sounds nice." Later that day, they met at a small, cozy cafe tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. As soon as Emma walked in, she saw him sitting at a corner table, just as he had been the night before, looking slightly more casual this time. Gone were the sharp suit and tie. Instead, he wore a soft gray sweater and jeans. He looked just as handsome, but there was something more approachable about him now. He stood when she entered, offering her a small smile. "Hey Emma, thanks for meeting me again," Liam said, his voice warm, with just a hint of nervousness. Emma smiled, walking over to the table and sitting down. She could feel the tension from the night before slowly slipping away as they began to talk. It was easy to talk to him, easier than she had expected. They started with small talk, how his day had been, what she had been up to. But soon, the conversation shifted to something more personal. Emma found herself sharing more than she normally would with someone she barely knew. She told him about her job at the diner, the long hours, and how difficult it had been trying to make ends meet. She talked about her dreams of owning an art studio, a dream she had held on to for years but felt like it was slipping further away with each passing day. "It's not easy," Emma admitted, her voice quieter now, "but I keep going because I have to. I want something more than this. I want to be able to create, to have my own space where I can do what I love. But sometimes, it feels like I'm stuck in this cycle, you know?" Liam listened intently, his expression softening as she spoke. There was something about Emma, something genuine and raw that made him want to listen, to understand her more. It was different from the usual conversations he had with people. There was no pretense, no facade. "Just Emma. I get it," he said after a moment. "I've been there too, in a way. Not with art, but with my own dreams. It's easy to get lost in the grind, to feel like you're working for something, but not getting closer to it. But the fact that you keep going, that says something. It's not easy to keep fighting when everything is against you." She looked at him, surprised by his words. It wasn't something she expected to hear from a guy like him. Liam wasn't just some tech guy from a blind date. He had a depth to him that she hadn't anticipated. They shared a brief, quiet moment, both lost in their own thoughts, before Emma spoke again. "Thanks," she said softly, smiling. "That actually means a lot. You know, I didn't think I'd be sitting here, talking like this, especially after last night. But I'm glad you reached out." "Me too," Liam replied with a small smile. "I'm glad we're talking too." As the conversation continued, Emma began to feel more at ease with Liam. She found herself laughing at his jokes and sharing more about her life than she had planned. It was strange, how natural everything felt between them, even though they had just met. But she couldn't deny that there was something there, something that felt real. By the time they finished their coffee, the sun was beginning to set outside, casting a warm golden light through the cafe windows. Emma stood up, feeling a strange mix of emotions. She wasn't sure where things were going, but she felt like she had just had a conversation that was more meaningful than anything she had experienced in a while. "So, I guess this is goodbye for now," she said, half smiling. "I mean, I wasn't really expecting to see you again, but this was nice." Liam stood as well, giving her a smile that reached his eyes. "I don't think this is goodbye," he said. "I think we'll see each other again. But no pressure, right? Just take your time." As she walked out of the cafe, Emma felt a small spark of hope flicker inside her. She didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like there was a chance for something more. Something real. It had been a few days since Emma had seen Liam, and she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something special about him. After their coffee date, she found herself thinking about him more often than she cared to admit. She hadn't expected to feel this way, but when she went to work at the diner, she caught herself smiling when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. "Hey Emma, I was thinking about you today. Are you free tomorrow? I know a little place where we can grab lunch. Nothing fancy, just some good food and good conversation." Emma stared at the message for a moment, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. It wasn't just another casual text. It felt genuine, and that made her heart race a little faster. She hadn't expected Liam to want to meet again, and she certainly hadn't expected it to feel this real. She quickly typed back, "I'd love to. What time?" The next day, Emma found herself meeting Liam at a small, quiet restaurant in the city. It wasn't fancy like the one they met in before, but there was something about this place that felt more comfortable. It felt more like a place where two people could just talk, without the pretension of a high-end restaurant. As soon as she saw him standing by the door, waiting for her, she felt a sense of calm wash over her. "Hey there," Liam greeted her, giving her a warm smile. "I hope you don't mind this place. I thought it might be more your style." Emma laughed, feeling at ease. Immediately, "I'm glad you chose this place," she said. "I feel more like myself here." They sat down, and the conversation flowed just as easily as it had the first time. This time, they talked about everything. Emma found herself sharing more about her life than she had ever planned. She told Liam about her childhood, how her mom had worked so hard to support her, and how she had always dreamed of being an artist. She talked about the struggles she faced trying to make a name for herself in a city that seemed to have no room for someone like her. Liam listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. As she spoke, he found himself drawn to her. She wasn't like the women he usually encountered in his world. She was real, raw, and unafraid to share her struggles. And there was something about that honesty that made him admire her even more. "You know, Emma," Liam said after a moment, "I think what you're doing is incredible. Pursuing your dream, even when things aren't easy, that takes a lot of strength." Emma looked down at her hands, a little embarrassed by the compliment. "It's not easy, though. Some days, it feels like I'm never going to make it. Like everything I'm doing is just one big, never-ending cycle. But I have to keep going. I can't just give up." He reached across the table, his hand gently touching hers. "You're not giving up. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And I believe in you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't used to people saying things like that to her. She wasn't used to someone believing in her. It was overwhelming, in the best way possible. She looked up at him, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that made her feel like she mattered. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice a little shaky. "That means more to me than you know." They spent the next few hours talking about their favorite books, music, and everything in between. It felt so easy with Liam, so natural. And as the day turned into evening, Emma realized something that surprised her. She didn't want this day to end. She didn't want to say goodbye. "I'm glad we did this," Emma said, as they stood up to leave the restaurant. "I didn't expect to connect with you like this." Liam smiled, his gaze soft. "Me neither. But I'm glad we did, too." As they stepped outside, the cool evening air brushed against their skin. Liam hesitated for a moment, then spoke again. "I know this might sound crazy, but I'd like to see you more. I know we're just getting to know each other, but I feel like there's something between us. I don't want to rush anything, but I'd really like to spend more time with you." Emma felt a rush of emotions flood her heart. She had only known him for a short time, but there was something about Liam that made her feel like she could trust him. And for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something real. She smiled, looking up at him. "I'd like that too." As they walked down the street together, Emma felt something inside her shift. It was like the weight of her worries and doubts began to lift, just a little. Maybe this was the start of something new. Maybe it was the beginning of a journey she hadn't seen coming. And as the night stretched on, Emma found herself hoping that this was only the beginning, that maybe, just maybe, Liam wasn't just the guy from the coffee shop. Maybe he was the person who would help her finally see that her dreams weren't as impossible as they seemed. It had been a week since Emma and Liam's coffee date, and things had taken an unexpected turn. After their conversation, they had exchanged a few more messages, and Emma couldn't deny that she was starting to feel something for him. The way he listened to her, the way he made her feel like she mattered, she hadn't experienced that in a long time. She had always been focused on her dreams, but now, she found herself wondering if there was a chance for something more. One evening, after a particularly long shift at the diner, Emma found a message from Liam waiting for her. It wasn't the usual casual text. This time, he had invited her to a charity gala he was attending. "I would love for you to come with me," the message said. "It's an event for a good cause, and I think you'd enjoy it. Don't worry, you don't have to dress up too much. Just come as yourself." Emma stared at the message, unsure of what to do. A gala? That felt like a world she didn't belong to. She had always been the girl in the second-hand dress, the one working hard to make ends meet. She had never been to something so fancy, so high-end. But Liam's invitation felt different. He wasn't asking her to impress anyone. He was asking her to be herself. She couldn't shake the thought that maybe this was a chance to step out of her comfort zone. She took a deep breath and typed her response. "Okay, I'll go. I'll try not to embarrass you." She smiled to herself as she sent the message. She had no idea what she was getting into, but something inside her said it was worth the risk. The night of the gala arrived, and Emma found herself standing in front of her mirror, staring at the dress she had picked out. It wasn't much, just a simple black dress she had bought at a thrift store, but it was the best she had. She tried to make it look as polished as possible, smoothing out the fabric and adjusting her hair. She felt a little out of place, but she was determined to enjoy herself. When she arrived at the venue, her nerves kicked in. The building was grand, with large columns and a red carpet leading up to the entrance. People were dressed to the nines, and Emma immediately felt like she didn't belong. But when Liam spotted her from across the room, his smile was enough to ease some of her anxiety. "You look beautiful," Liam said as he walked over to her, his voice warm. He was dressed in a sharp tuxedo, looking every bit the part of the successful CEO he was. But there was no pretension in his gaze, no judgment in the way he looked at her. Just warmth. "Thanks," Emma said, feeling a blush creep up her neck. "I feel a little out of place here." Liam chuckled softly. "You're not out of place. You're exactly where you're supposed to be." As the night went on, Emma began to relax. She was surprised at how natural it felt to talk to Liam, how easy it was to blend into the crowd when he was by her side. He introduced her to a few of his friends, but unlike the other guests, they didn't talk about business or their latest achievements. Instead, they discussed art, music, and dreams, things that Emma could talk about for hours. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was just a waitress. She felt like she was a part of something real. At one point during the evening, Liam took her hand gently, guiding her to the dance floor. "Would you like to dance?" he asked. Emma hesitated for just a moment. She had never been good at dancing, but with Liam's reassuring smile, she found herself saying yes. They danced slowly, the music wrapping around them like a warm blanket. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt completely at ease. She wasn't thinking about the bills, or the diner, or her struggles. She was just in the moment, enjoying the connection between her and Liam. He wasn't just the CEO she had once thought him to be. He was someone who cared, someone who saw her for who she really was. As the song came to an end, Liam looked at her with an intensity in his eyes that made her heart race. "I'm really glad you came tonight, Emma," he said softly. "I've been thinking a lot about you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had been thinking about him too, but hearing him say it out loud made her nervous, yet happy. "I'm glad I came too," she whispered. For a moment, they just stood there, holding each other. The music faded into the background, and the world around them seemed to disappear. In that moment, it felt like there was no one else in the room, just the two of them. But just as Emma started to let her guard down completely, a voice interrupted them. "Liam, there you are," a woman said, walking up to them with a smile. She was tall, elegant, and impeccably dressed, with a look of recognition in her eyes as she glanced at Emma. Emma felt a pang of unease. She couldn't help but wonder if this woman was someone from Liam's past. Someone important. Someone who could possibly change everything. Liam's expression softened, and he quickly introduced Emma. This is Emma. Emma, this is Claire. She's an old friend of mine. Emma smiled politely, but her heart was racing. She could tell there was something between them, something unspoken. As Claire greeted her with a warm smile, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get more complicated. As Liam introduced Emma to Claire, Emma couldn't help but feel a sudden wave of insecurity wash over her. There was something in the way Claire looked at her, something that made Emma feel like she was intruding on a world that wasn't meant for her. She had always been the outsider, the girl who worked long shifts at the diner and dreamed of a life she wasn't sure she'd ever achieve. Now, standing beside Liam, at this elegant gala with Claire, she felt out of place, like she didn't belong in this world of high society and polished smiles. It's so nice to meet you, Emma, Claire said, her voice sweet, but with an edge that Emma couldn't quite place. Liam's told me a lot about you. Emma smiled, trying to keep her composure, but the nerves were building up again. Nice to meet you too, she said, her voice shaky. Liam, sensing the tension between the two women, quickly intervened. Emma, Claire's an old friend. We've known each other for years, but we've never really had the chance to catch up. Claire, Emma and I have been getting to know each other recently. She's been working hard on her art, and I think she's got a lot of potential. Emma's heart fluttered at his words, but she quickly masked the warmth creeping up her cheeks with a smile. Claire raised an eyebrow, and for a moment, Emma thought she saw a flicker of judgment in her eyes. Well, that's wonderful, Claire said, her tone a little too neutral. It's always nice to meet someone who's passionate about something. Emma didn't know how to respond. She wasn't used to people talking about her art like that, especially not in such a polished setting. She could feel Claire's eyes on her, sizing her up, and it made her want to shrink into the background. But Liam's presence beside her made her feel a little stronger. He gave her a reassuring smile, as if to say everything was okay. Well, I should get going, Claire said, turning back to Liam. I'm sure you two have a lot to catch up on. She gave Emma a quick glance before walking away. Emma watched her go, feeling a strange mixture of relief and unease. She hadn't expected Claire to be so cold, but then again, she didn't know what kind of relationship Liam and Claire had. She looked up at Liam, who was watching her closely. Don't let her get to you, Liam said softly. She's just an old friend, nothing more. Emma nodded, but the feeling of discomfort lingered. It wasn't just Claire's attitude that bothered her. It was the sense that she didn't belong here, in this world of wealth and power. Liam was kind, but he came from a different world, a world that Emma wasn't sure she could ever be a part of. As the night wore on, Emma and Liam found themselves talking more, moving around the room and joining other guests. Emma tried her best to relax, but the feeling of being an outsider never quite faded. Liam was the only person who made her feel like she mattered here, and the more time she spent with him, the more she realized just how much she had started to care for him. Later, as the gala started to wind down, Liam took her aside for a moment of quiet. I know tonight was a little overwhelming, he said, his voice low. But I want you to know that I'm glad you came with me. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, Emma. Just be yourself. That's all that matters to me. His words felt like a balm to her nerves. She hadn't expected him to say something like that, but it meant more to her than she could explain. Emma had spent so much of her life trying to fit in, trying to be what everyone expected her to be. But with Liam, she felt like she could finally be herself, unpolished, unrefined, and real. Thank you, Emma whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I've never felt like this before, like someone actually sees me. Liam's eyes softened, and he reached out, gently cupping her face with his hand. I see you, Emma, and I'm glad I do. For a moment, they stood there in the quiet corner of the gala, the noise of the party fading into the background. Emma didn't know what the future held, but in that moment, with Liam's hand on her cheek, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. She wasn't sure if this was the beginning of something real, but she knew one thing for certain. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she had a place where she truly belonged. As they left the gala later that night, Liam offered to drive her home. She agreed, and they spent the ride talking about everything and nothing, the conversation flowing easily between them. When they arrived at her apartment, Emma wasn't sure how to say goodbye. She didn't want the night to end. Liam turned to her, his eyes filled with something she couldn't quite place. "Emma, I know we're just getting to know each other, but I can't help feeling that there's something between us. Something real." Her heart raced. She had been feeling it too, but hearing him say it out loud made everything feel even more real. "I feel it too," Emma said softly. "But I'm scared. Scared of what this could mean." Liam nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I get it. But sometimes, the things that scare us the most are the ones worth fighting for." With those words, he leaned in and kissed her gently on the cheek, before stepping back. "Good night, Emma." As she watched him drive away, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and fear. This was the start of something new, something unexpected. And though she wasn't sure where it would lead, she couldn't deny the hope that was beginning to bloom inside her. The days following the gala were filled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty for Emma. She had never felt this way before. It was as if the walls she had carefully built around her heart were slowly starting to crumble. Every text message from Liam made her heart race, and their conversations, both in person and over the phone, felt more personal, more meaningful. He was kind, attentive, and always made her feel like she mattered. But even with all that, there was still a part of her that held back, unsure of what to do with the feelings growing inside her. One afternoon, Emma sat in her small apartment, sketching in her worn notebook. The quiet hum of the city outside was the only sound, but her mind was racing. She hadn't heard from Liam in a couple of days, and though she understood that he was busy with work, she couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Was he losing interest? Did he see her as just another fling? She pushed the thought aside, but it lingered. Just as she was about to put down her pencil, her phone buzzed. She picked it up eagerly, hoping for a message from Liam. It was him. "Hey Emma, are you free this weekend? I've got an idea I think you'll love. Let me know." Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly typed her response. "I'm free. What do you have in mind?" The reply came almost instantly. "How about we go to that art gallery you've always wanted to visit? I know it's been on your list, and I think it'll be fun. What do you think?" Emma couldn't believe it. She had mentioned that gallery to him in passing a couple of weeks ago, but she hadn't expected him to actually remember. She smiled as she read the message, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I'd love that," she typed back. The weekend came quickly, and Emma found herself standing in front of the gallery, her heart racing. She had chosen a simple outfit, a little black dress she felt comfortable in, but it was different from anything she had worn before. It felt more like herself, yet a little more polished, a little more confident. When Liam arrived, he looked as charming as always, dressed casually in a jacket and jeans. He smiled when he saw her, his eyes lighting up in a way that made her heart flutter. "You look amazing," he said as he walked toward her, his voice soft but sincere. Emma felt her cheeks flush. "Thank you. I'm excited about today." "Me too," he said, offering her his arm. "Let's go explore." He led her inside, and Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging as they wandered through the exhibits together. They spent hours in the gallery, moving from one painting to the next, discussing the pieces they liked, and even disagreeing on a few of them. It was simple, but it was perfect. Emma found herself more at ease with each passing moment, her earlier doubts fading away. With Liam, she felt like she could just be herself, no pretense, no expectations. As they stood in front of a beautiful abstract piece, Liam turned to her with a serious expression. "I've been thinking a lot lately." He began, his voice steady. "I don't want you to feel like I'm rushing you, but I think there's something between us. Something real. And I don't want to let it slip away." He paused for a moment, his gaze never leaving hers. "Emma, I like you. More than I expected. And I'm ready to see where this goes." He looked a little nervous, a side of him Emma hadn't seen before. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had felt it too, the connection, the pull between them, but hearing him say it out loud made it all feel so real. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing thoughts. "I like you too, Liam," she said softly. "I've been scared to admit it, but I feel the same way. I don't know what this means yet, but I want to see where it goes too." The air between them felt charged, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. It was as if the world had quieted around them, leaving only the two of them standing there, connected by something unspoken. Liam smiled, his relief clear in his eyes. "Good. I'm glad we're on the same page." They continued through the gallery, but now, the day felt different. There was a new sense of hope in Emma's chest, something she hadn't felt in a long time. The future, though uncertain, no longer seemed so daunting. As they walked out of the gallery, Liam reached for her hand, and Emma let him take it, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. It was a simple gesture, but for Emma, it was a sign that, maybe, just maybe, she was starting to let herself believe in something more, something real. The weeks that followed felt like a whirlwind for Emma. After the gallery, things between her and Liam progressed in ways she never expected. They spent more time together, shared quiet moments, and even got to know each other's friends. Liam was always kind, thoughtful, and attentive, but as much as she enjoyed being with him, a part of Emma still couldn't shake her fear. She had always been the girl on the outside looking in, and this new world Liam was offering felt so foreign to her. But with every passing day, that fear slowly began to fade, replaced by something stronger, something that felt like hope. One evening, after a long day at the diner, Emma walked into her small apartment, exhausted but happy. She had received a text from Liam earlier that day, asking her to meet him at his place for dinner. It was a simple request, but something about it made her feel special. She had grown so accustomed to the idea of taking what she could get, that the thought of being invited over by Liam made her feel like she was more than just a passing thought to him. She quickly showered, slipped on a casual dress, and headed to his penthouse. It was only a short ride, but her nerves were a little on edge. The penthouse was always impressive, and it still took her by surprise how comfortable she felt there with him. She had been in fancy places before, but none of them ever felt quite like home. When Liam opened the door, a warm smile spread across his face. "Hey you," he said softly, stepping aside to let her in. "I'm so glad you could make it." Emma smiled, feeling her heart race a little. "Of course, I wouldn't miss it." They sat down to dinner, and as usual, the conversation flowed easily. It wasn't just about work or the art world. It was about their lives, their dreams, and the things that mattered most. Emma found herself opening up in ways she hadn't before, sharing thoughts she had kept locked inside for so long. "You know, I've been thinking a lot about what you said," Liam said suddenly, his voice serious. "About us. I don't want you to feel like I'm rushing things, but I want to be honest with you. I think what we have is real, and I want to see where it can go, with no pressure, no pretenses." Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She had been afraid of this moment, afraid that it would come too soon, before she was ready. But hearing Liam say it out loud made everything feel even more real. Her emotions swirled, and she struggled to find the right words. I feel the same way," she said softly, her voice shaking slightly. "But I'm scared, Liam. I'm scared of letting myself believe that this could be something real. I've never been good at trusting things like this." Liam reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. "I understand. Trust is hard, especially when you've been hurt before. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." Emma's heart swelled with emotion as she looked at him. She had always believed that love was something distant, something for other people. But with Liam, everything felt different. She didn't know where this would go, but she was willing to take the risk. For the first time in a long time, she was ready to believe in something more. They spent the rest of the evening talking and laughing, the connection between them growing stronger with each passing moment. By the time Emma left, the doubts she had once carried were lighter, replaced by the warmth of Liam's words and the hope that maybe, just maybe, they could build something together. As she walked back to her apartment, Emma couldn't stop smiling. She still had a long way to go before she could fully let go of her fears, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was on the right path. She didn't know what the future held, but with Liam by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. The days that followed Emma's dinner with Liam were filled with a new sense of possibility. She found herself waking up each morning with a quiet excitement, looking forward to her time with him. They continued to explore their connection, enjoying simple moments together, walking through parks, talking about their dreams, and sharing pieces of their pasts. But as much as Emma felt herself falling for him, a part of her couldn't help but feel like something was still off. She hadn't told him everything about her life, not the struggles with her family or the dreams that seemed too far out of reach. It was like she was holding back, protecting herself from what might come next. One evening, after a quiet night in with takeout and a movie, Liam took Emma's hand as they sat on the couch. The mood between them was comfortable, but there was a new intensity in his eyes that made Emma's heart race. She could feel the weight of the unspoken words hanging between them. Emma, there's something I need to tell you, Liam said softly, his voice steady but filled with sincerity. He turned to face her fully, and Emma's stomach fluttered at the seriousness in his tone. What is it? She asked, trying to steady the sudden rush of nervous energy that surged through her. Liam took a deep breath before speaking again. I know we've only been seeing each other for a short time, but I want you to know that I'm not here to play games. I'm serious about us. I care about you. A lot. Emma's heart skipped a beat, but the words she had been holding back for weeks suddenly came to the surface. Liam, she began, her voice trembling a little, I care about you too. But I have to be honest with you. I'm scared. I've been scared of letting myself get close to anyone for a long time. And I haven't told you everything about me. About my past, about my family. I don't know if I can really trust us. I've always been the one holding things together, and I'm not sure I can let go enough to let someone else in. Liam's expression softened, and he gently squeezed her hand. You don't have to tell me everything all at once, Emma. I'm not asking for you to open up overnight. But I want you to know that I'm here, no matter what. We'll go at your pace. I just want to be there for you, in whatever way you need me to be. For a moment, Emma simply looked at him, feeling the weight of his words settle deep in her heart. He was offering her something she had never allowed herself to believe she could have. Someone who would stand by her side. Someone who would wait for her to be ready. I'm scared, Liam, she whispered. But I think I'm starting to believe that maybe this is real. Maybe I can trust you. Liam smiled gently and pulled her closer. You don't have to do it all at once. Just take it one step at a time. And with that, Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She didn't have to have it all figured out right now. She didn't have to be perfect. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was allowed to be herself. Imperfect, scared, but real. Over the next few weeks, Emma let herself take those small steps forward with Liam. They continued to spend time together, and with each passing day, she found herself opening up more. The walls she had built around her heart began to crack, and she realized that maybe, just maybe, she was ready to let someone in. One afternoon, as they walked through the park hand in hand, Liam stopped and turned to her with a serious look in his eyes. I've been thinking about something, he said softly, and I don't want to rush you, but I think it's time to ask. Emma, will you be my girlfriend? Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected it to happen like this, so soon. But as she looked at Liam's face, she realized she didn't need more time. She wanted this. She wanted him. Yes, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'd love to. As they stood there, the world around them seemed to fade away. Emma's heart was full, not just with love for Liam, but with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time in years, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. And in that moment, everything felt possible. Months had passed since Emma and Liam officially became a couple, and things had never felt more real. Emma had finally opened up about her past, the struggles with her family, the fears she had carried for so long. Liam had listened, never once judging her or making her feel like she was anything less than perfect just the way she was. He supported her dreams of owning an art studio, and every day with him felt like a new chapter in a story she never expected. They were a team now, and it felt like nothing could stand in their way. One evening, as they sat on the couch in Liam's penthouse, Emma looked around, taking in the space they had shared for months now. The soft light from the lamps cast a warm glow across the room, and the quiet hum of the city outside seemed peaceful, almost distant. Liam was beside her, his arm around her shoulders, and she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. For the first time in years, she felt like she had found where she truly belonged. Liam, Emma began, her voice soft as she turned to face him. I've been thinking about something. I want to ask you something. Important. Liam looked at her with a curious expression. Anything, he said, his voice gentle. You've been so patient with me, with all of my fears and doubts. And you've shown me what it's like to love and trust someone again. I can't imagine my life without you now. So, I have to know. Emma continued, her heart racing. Will you marry me? There was a moment of silence, and for a second, Emma thought she had said something too soon. But then Liam smiled. A smile so full of love and warmth that it made her heart swell. Of course I will, Emma, Liam said, his voice thick with emotion. I've been waiting for this moment. I've known for a long time that you're the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. Emma felt tears well up in her eyes as Liam took her hand and slipped a simple, elegant ring onto her finger. It wasn't extravagant, but it was perfect, a symbol of their journey together, one that had started with a mistaken identity and blossomed into something beautiful and real. They sat there for a while, not needing to say anything more. The connection between them was enough. Emma knew, deep in her heart, that this was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, a chapter filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. As the days passed, their relationship continued to grow. Emma worked tirelessly to save for her art studio, and Liam supported her every step of the way, even offering her advice when needed. He never pressured her to move faster than she was comfortable with, and his encouragement made her believe in herself more than she ever had before. They spent weekends together, enjoying quiet afternoons in the park or cooking dinner together at Liam's penthouse. Emma had found a balance between her dreams and her relationship, and she knew that whatever the future held, she wasn't alone. One afternoon, as they walked through the city hand in hand, Liam turned to her with a smile. "You know, I've been thinking," he said. "I think it's time we start planning our future. I don't just mean the wedding. I mean everything. Where we're going to live, what we're going to do, how we're going to build a life together." Emma smiled back, her heart full of love. "I think I'm ready for that," she said, squeezing his hand. "I'm ready to build a future with you." They continued walking, the world around them bustling with life, but in that moment, it felt like it was just the two of them. As they moved forward, hand in hand, Emma knew that this was the life she had always dreamed of, one filled with love, laughter, and a sense of belonging. And with Liam by her side, she was ready for whatever came next.